We are social beings. We need human connection to thrive and grow. We cannot, be sitting and talking to robots and expect our emotional, social, and things like that, improve. Teachers are not going anywhere. But the way we are going to be teaching is going to change, and is going to change quite dramatically.
Today, I have with me a very distinguished academician and an entrepreneur, Mr. Praveen Raju. Welcome to this episode of Learning Curve, Praveen. Really happy to have you here, and happy birthday to you in advance. I know it's your birthday tomorrow, so I'm very happy to have this conversation with you a day before your birthday.
Thank you so much for the wishes, and more importantly, thank you for having me on this podcast, Richa. Thank you.
My pleasure. Praveen, everyone knows you as the founder of Suchitra Academy School in Hyderabad, and it's now one of the top 10 schools nationally. But not many are aware of your diverse experience in the education space. You have been in this space for nearly 2 decades. So why don't we start from your journey? So give our audience a sneak peek into your journey in the education space.
Sure. My journey started with school education around 2006 when Indus International School, Hyderabad, the founder of the Indus Trust, was in Bangalore. He's from Bangalore. I met him in the US, and I knew him for a very long time. His name is Kumar Malvalli. So he said, why don't we start a school in Hyderabad? I started in Indus Bangalore, and it's doing very well. So I came back to India, but not the least interested in schools. Just so happened in 2007 I was in the US again and happened to meet him, and he asked me if I would be interested in doing a school. So since he's asked me so many times, elderly gentleman, and I respect him, so went to Indus Bangalore, got the rundown on how things are going. Beautiful campus, very exciting, but still never interested in doing a school. So I knew that somebody in Hyderabad would be interested in being part of that journey, and I connected them, and that's how we started Indus International School. So my brother was doing construction, so I was a little bit involved, in trying to get the infrastructure in time. We did that in record time in about 5 or 6 months. We actually start to finish opening of the school. It's a large campus, 270,000 square feet.
5 to 6 months is a very short time.
We started.
Amazing
very
work.
Short time, and it's a large project. And we had about 3,200 people or something like that working in the last 1 month.
Okay.
It's usually not you don't see commonly even in large construction projects as well. So, but anyway, we completed the project, and during that phase, the promoters requested that if I could help them out in the running of the school, the finances, and so that's how I got a little bit deeply involved. And one of the promoters had some challenges that they had to plug out of the whole system back in Hyderabad. And I was again requested if I could step in more and help out, otherwise, we'll fall into deeper trouble. Then I got sucked in a little bit more. I came on board as the executive director as well, and I just enjoyed children. Just walking, running around, smiling, shouting, being playful itself was so much joy.
They have an energy, right? They have an energy that rubs off
Absolutely.
on you. I can understand.
So that's something which was very intoxicating. I really loved the just being in the school itself. So then the opportunity to do an Indus Early Learning Center, a preschool in Hyderabad city, and this Indus International School is outside the city. Came up. I was asked to invest, so I said, if it is, I'll be the sole investor. I'll be more than happy, and that's how I got started.
Got it.
And that's the same year I started Suchitra Academy in the campus. both these schools, Indus Early Learning Center and Suchitra Academy, both of them I started in the same year. So that's how the journey came about. And I want to make it very clear, there were no ambitions on changing the world or changing education or changing India or anything like that. It was just the joy of children that brought me into education. And interestingly, at that time, I was naive in my thinking. I was thinking that, if you get a good principal, set of good teachers, have a good campus, things will be all rosy, right? So that was how I started off. And we had a large campus, great infrastructure. Very first year, we had 26 students on day one when we started the school. And in June, when we actually started after the summer break, started classes, we went up to 50. We started from pre-primary all the way to grade 5, and we had 50 students to start with. So then it was a wake-up call that it's not just that, you need to do a lot more. And that's how I started to get deeply involved, and then I learned so many things on the way.
So you have been like an incidental or a reluctant school leader, right? So you found your way into education. It was not the other way around, but it's education sector's game, Praveen, honestly.
Thank you. And I gained a lot as well. There's no doubt. It completely changed me as a person as well. And I'm also very grateful to the industry, the school itself.
That's great to know. And Suchitra Academy is now 3,000 students strong? Is it 2,000 students strong?
2,200 students, yeah.
Wow, that's a big number, and ranked among the top 10 in India. So that's a journey. So tell us more about Suchitra Academy, and specifically what I've heard from talking to you and other people who have been associated with Suchitra Academy, that there's a lot of focus on sports education, which is something that is, it's a trend that is catching up, and not something which was very prevalent few years back. And I know that sports is very close to your heart as well. You were a university level badminton player and were ranked number 7 in snooker championship under 21. I think that's amazing. So talk to us a little bit more about your love for sports and the role that schools play in sports education.
Yeah, I love sport. I think that has been my first love. Always growing up and studying, sports was my passion, not studies. But the general impression that time was that sports won't lead you anywhere, so it's better to study. So that's how the encouragement from my parents was hardly anything, and for good reason. Though in those days, to build a career in sports is almost not possible in those days. That's something which I really missed out on, that I should have pursued sport to a greater level. And a lot of people have many regrets in their childhood. My biggest regret is that I got selected to play for India in the World Championships in Iceland, and I could not go because I had exams.
Oh my God, unbelievable.
So that's the biggest regret in my life. So that's something which has been carrying me throughout my life. I still play a lot of badminton. I don't play much of snooker, but badminton has taught me many things: resilience, teamwork, the ability to focus. There's been a lot of things that I've also continued to see in many athletes as well. It's quite incredible in terms of what sport can do to children. So my daughter was playing badminton professionally. She was ranked in amongst India's top 20 players in the under 19 in the world. So we were traveling. I spent enormous amount of time with her. I dedicated almost 4 years. We'd start at 4 o'clock. We would be at practice. doing all the things, morning, evening, diet, sports science, everything was happening. And somewhere I felt the philosophy of sports science, which was existing in badminton that time, was quite behind the times. And then we didn't adapt to new age techniques and new age sports science that was prevalent in other sports in the West. In India, only cricket was something which probably had attention, real sports science on improving the badminton was still at the very primitive stage, where people were doing just weights and like the traditional way what people would do. Nothing. It was not so sports specific at that point. So then we were building in Suchitra about 7 badminton indoor courts.
Wow.
So I thought, why not we do an academy ourselves, and it will help our children and maybe a few other players. So that was the idea. So we thought, we got one coach from Indonesia, and we started off with a trainer and a physio, a couple of physios and 2 trainers. And quickly we realized that building a world-class academy requires several pieces to it, including having a larger set of players. You just cannot have 10 players or something like that. So some athletes play. You have to be exposed to slow play, fast play.
Correct. Different kind of games.
Lot of different things need to be. Left-handers, right-handers. There's so many things. So we thought, okay, now let's start to expand. We'll make it a proper world-class facility, and then we started to add more people to the entire scheme of things. And we started the academy in 2016, November 1st. And June, PV Sindhu, the badminton player, and her father have been very good friends for a long time. And I suggested to them, why don't we do some analysis of Sindhu's body to understand body balance, range of motion, and things like that. And see what we can actually improve. That the idea was just to give her inputs.
Understood.
So that when we showed through tests that she was way behind, her core strength was nowhere close to being elite. And they being athletes, they quickly realized, father and Sindhu also realized that we need to improve on the physical fitness. So that's when they plugged out of the National Academy, and for physical fitness we started to work with her. And we took her on about 45 days before the epic match she played with Okuhara, 2017 World Championship final. It was a 2-hour game which she lost by one point. Highly physical game, and she withstood the entire thing. That game was so intense. Prakash Padukone also called it probably the greatest match played by an Indian sportsperson. So it was at that level.
I think I'll find that game now and watch it. I've seen multiple games of PV Sindhu, but I think I've missed this one. But amazing to know the story. Please continue.
I will share the link with you as well.
Sure.
So that's how that's where they saw the value. There was even the commentators were saying, now this player is going to fall down. It's happening. They're tired, and one of them is going to break down. But she withstood the entire thing. So that's how the physical fitness and recovery for her till about a year back we've been doing. It's been almost nearly 7 years that we worked together. Our trainer and physio since then have been traveling with her for pretty much all the tournaments, Olympics or World Championships or any other tournament that she was traveling to. And me personally, I would help out on the strategy, on the mindset, and there were some clear habits that she had picked on over the period of time, and then worked very hard on improving them. So that's how we've helped one of the great athletes of India. And seeing our ability to do some of these significant changes, significant work on players, on physical fitness, other sports people also started to approach us. So we've trained Nikat Zareen, the two-time world boxing champion. During her first world championship gold, that 1 year she trained with us for physical fitness.
Wow.
And then we also have national champions of tennis, junior Wimbledon players. Then we have sailors who represented India, around one or two low-level IPL players as well. So we've physical fitness, we support many other sports as well. And this is a not-for-profit, and we keep putting in money month on month to support
amazing.
what we're doing.
No, that's amazing, and thanks a lot for sharing these stories, Praveen. I know that not many people would have been aware that an academy that originated from a school had made such a tremendous impact in the gaming world, right? So for India, you have got accolades. So I think this is inspiring work, and I'm just amazed to hear this story. So thanks a lot for sharing this with us. All right, so let's change gear a bit, Praveen, and I want to talk about something which is very, it's a buzzword these days. And me being an automation enthusiast, so I've been working on GenAI business cases in my role in the corporate world, and we keep hearing that AI is going to change every field going forward, and education is no stranger. So I want to talk to you about and take your opinion. Do you think that the current discussion on how AI will change education, is it a hype or is there reality to that? What is your experience with it?
Okay, people talk about two things on change in education. One is the change for the better, and some people also talk about change for disruption of teachers, the relevance of teachers itself. Right. So the change for the good and improve in school, it's obviously there, but we are social beings. We need human connection to thrive and grow. We cannot, be sitting and talking to robots and expect our emotional, social, and things like that, improve. So teachers are not going anywhere.
That's true.
But the way we are going to be teaching is going to change, and is going to change quite dramatically. And time frames, it becomes difficult. Even today, the ability to change dramatically is still there, but it's just that the mindset needs to be changed of the teachers, and the entire system needs to rally around how we're doing. So one very interesting thing that is likely to make a strong comeback is going to be flipped learning. So we've been talking about flipped learning for quite some time. Tell
us more about flipped learning, Praveen, before we move forward, just for our audience to understand that what flipped learning actually means.
Sure. So flipped learning is when the students are given a particular topic or a particular chapter, ask them to do some research around that, come with specific things that they discuss back in the classroom.
Understood.
Not the traditional way of teacher starting off first, then kids doing some homework. This way they can use GenAI, ChatGPT, and actually go out and do research, do some critical thinking, all within a framework. And then you have shorter or smaller groups are discussing things, and then the teacher is stepping in to kind of see where the children are, what is the direction of their thinking, or know what is their level of understanding, and probably probe a little bit more deeper to get a better understanding. So that way the children will learn a lot more, and that learning is also for life. So we were talking about this concept of flipped learning for I think
years now.
Or something like that. And nothing has really happened in the classroom.
Exactly. But implementation has been a challenge so far.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but now with the support of GenAI, so what is going to happen on the specific flipped learning is a massive gain that we can have. Of course, the teachers need to be trained well, and it's a
Correct.
process that because we're not talking about just one or two school or group of schools. We're talking about the country as a whole in terms of our growth. So I feel that the country's ability to leapfrog things has been quite dramatic. How we have leapfrogged from the landline to the mobile phones and things like that. So also now I see that we can leapfrog from the route of teaching, leveraging regular technology, and then moving on and improving schools. I think now with GenAI, I think we can leapfrog the standard way of progressing in school education. I think there's a great opportunity to make significant changes in a lesser period of time.
Understood. So, some things that I took away from your conversation here is that teachers will remain the core of education. So that's not going anywhere. But AI will really empower the teachers to move the learning from traditional monologue-based learning to a more conversational-based learning, where it can be customized, personalized, and made more engaging. Right? So that is where the AI impact will be.
Yes, absolutely. So so you have two pieces in running a school, right? One is non-academic side, and then there is what happens in the classroom and the academic side. So you're talking about which every other industry will be doing. It has great improvements from the time, let's say, a teacher or a parent walks into the school,
Correct,
your admission process, your ability to respond to feedback, understanding, analyzing, and responding to feedback. Today with ChatGPT is quite brilliant. It's quite amazing things you can do with the feedback itself. So that is great. Then all your reportings, all those things can change, and also with your lesson planning. So let me come to the education side of it. Let me step back a little bit more. So we're also talking about this agents and agentic frameworks that are also developing, which software that does things in the background and takes independent decisions, like sending emails, triggering some things. Those things are possible even today, and I think in the next few years that's possibly going to be. Every school will have hundreds of agents working at the background to help out in running of the school itself. Now the second part comes to learning. So today we have our teachers doing their lesson plans using ChatGPT, and they're all GenAI trained, or most of them are GenAI trained, and have personally done some workshops with the teachers on how to leverage ChatGPT and stuff. But the learning itself requires a lot more depth in the sense that the ability to really leverage GenAI is not at the level of the school itself. It's not. We cannot make those kind of dramatic improvements with the limited resources that we as schools have. We cannot invest that kind of money or capital and try to build something on our own. So this is where vendors come in. We are working with Coschool.ai. We've been their early partners in the development process itself. And I see significant value. Our teachers are very excited that something like this is there, and how much of... first, very simply, it just saves a ton of time doing what you're doing yourself. And we have not done a study within our group itself, but I've seen studies in the US done with savings of between 5 to 10 hours of time per week. That's significant.
That's a lot, yeah.
And imagine all this work then comes back to the classroom, and there she's spending that valuable time in hand-holding students who need more assistance. And also, you should not also forget students who have the capability to do more. Also, we can spend time with them as well. So I think as a whole, the education within the classroom can jump up.
Can be elevated. Yeah.
can
No,
be
that's
elevated there.
yeah.
And there's a new feature where I was discussing with them, which I feel, in fact, that is something which is a game changer.
Okay.
Is that teachers spend a very significant amount of time on grading and assessments.
Correct. Yeah, that's
And
like 30-40% of their time goes into.
oh yeah, so
Yeah.
students are writing something,
Exactly.
you're trying to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to understand what your rubrics are in terms of what you're
True.
doing, and then you have to grade
Yeah.
the entire set of students,
Yeah.
and then you have another assessments coming. So especially when you're doing assessments which are 360 degrees in nature, then the amount of time you spend also increases significantly. This is something which Coschool is also attempting to solve, and I see great promise if they're able to solve that, which I see their approach is doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I see massive improvements in the way we are doing, we're educating. And then we should also understand that what I talked about before, about leapfrogging and getting to the last mile, right? So that is where tools like these or the products like this can be of significant value to the budget schools and the government schools. Not to suggest that they will be of great value to us. So I'm very excited to leverage and use these types of technologies along with what we're doing with managing the schools itself. I'm very bullish.
No, I think that this is great, and as you rightly said, that schools do not have that expertise, right? So it's unless the entire ecosystem develops, that is where real change actually happens. And these edtech companies like Coschool play a very critical and pivotal role in making sure that we continue to invest in R&D, we continue to partner with Indian schools, because context changes. We cannot just import a product from US, let's say, and implement it in Indian environment. So we need companies from India, which what companies like Coschool are doing, and create very customized solution for our requirement. So I think that's the way we have to stay polo and take your opinion on that. And that's the parents for today. I think it's getting very challenging. And I have a daughter who's 13 years of age, and whenever I meet my friends, one of the discussion that always happens is, what are we preparing our kids for? Because the old rules do not apply anymore. We do not have clarity how the world will change, what kind of skill set or jobs will be relevant, what our children need to be better prepared for the future that is coming, because no one has an idea how the future will look like. So what is your suggestion? I mean, you must be interacting with so many students as part of your role. So how do you answer those questions?
This we have been talking about for some time again, like how I talked about it earlier, is that the mindset has to change of parents. Maybe 10 years ago, the jobs were relevant for 10 or 15 years. Today, it's become months. Tomorrow, you don't know where we will be. So we can't be preparing our students our children to be able to actually, the children, when they reach their workplace time, so we would have been teaching them how to handle problems of yesterday, right?
True.
So here now, we have to get to the fundamental human level, right? What are the things that will make a person excel? So how can they be prepared for all challenges that the world is going to be putting them through? And they will be, magnitude of 50x or 100x where we were at when we were growing up. So how do you prepare them? You have to make them resilient. They have to be critical thinkers. They have to be problem solvers. And they have to be having the ability to understand and comprehend a situation and then come up with solutions themselves. So the ability to do this is what we should be teaching children. The knowledge, the content will happen, but it has to be an all-round development. So that's why, like the concept which we have is the mind, body, soul. The mind is something which all of us spend disproportionate amount of time cultivating the mind with all the memory and studying knowledge and things like that. Then we have the body, which is sports, which I was talking about, how important sport is, and then we also have the soul, with the spirit. So harmony of these three things. The spirit will be the art, all the creative things. So when you have a harmony between the three, is only when a child can have a multidimensional approach to a problem, understand and solve the problem. So we are also a project-based learning school. Project-based learning school is designed to be this. We use the design thinking methodology from Stanford to address any problem. And we also throw up problems which are, the projects are also, which are relevant and happening to us, around us day to day, what we see in newspapers and things like that. So once you have, you're doing that, then it really helps you be prepared. Tomorrow the world is about problems. So any problem, you have a process and you have an approach to doing things. So the balance has to be there.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the fundamentally, yeah. I think that's a very deep thought. The harmony between mind, body, and soul. And I think you're the first person who's having that conversation at that level. So really insightful. One other thing that I want to talk about is the concept of screen time. So like when I was young, it was easy for parents to say, okay, you just have 45 minutes of screen time, and screen time meant TV time. But now that has changed. That definition doesn't apply anymore. And to your point on how AI is being used for flipped classrooms, I see that with my daughter even before going to the school the next day. She's able to learn a little about the chapter a day before using various AI tools. But I can't count that as a screen time because that's a learning and productive screen time. So what's your, it gets difficult for parents when these boundaries starts getting blurred. So what's your suggestion? How to address
let me speak to you about the air we breathe, right? Air is necessary, bad air is harmful. Polluted air is harmful. The same way, what is necessary we have to do. The pollution is the social media, the distractions that children are going through.
Correct.
Rest all to a certain extent should be fine. So schools also should necessarily ensure that we are not doing full screen time in the classes. It should be very limited, so that whatever time they spend doing
Correct.
research and other things is more meaningful, and we are not exposing them to more screen time. So if you recollect, during the pandemic, we had this conversation that with the Zoom, we can make so many things so much better and things like that. But
correct.
once you come back to the classroom, then we realize how much of a stress it was for both the teachers and the students. So
both teachers and students.
It didn't work. So that's why the screen time will work only if it's for a specific purpose. It shouldn't be just open-ended screen time. And I would also advise all parents to be watchful and set time, like how you said. It's that's a great way to control. That okay, between this time and this time you have your screen time, but beyond this you cannot. And also mobile phones ideally should not be given too much later. I think there should be some regulation also around that. Because parents, especially nowadays, both wife and husband are working, and sometimes they come home, they're quite tired, they had a bad day. Easiest way would be just to give an iPad to a kid, and so that you have some peace to yourself. So we need to make that little bit effort as parents to kind of tackle that.
Yeah, no, very true. And I love the analogy of air and polluted air. So I think that's the best way to relate to that. And you also touched a little bit about regulation, and let me just build up on that. First of all, congratulations on being selected as the president for Arise this year. So why don't you tell us more about this organization? Because I feel that another wheel in this entire ecosystem is the policy making. And they have a very critical role to play in empowering and enabling our academic institutes to use technology to move forward and help them to do that. So talk to us about Arise and what role policy making play in advancement of education.
Arise is an association for reinventing school education. We started about 8 years ago. It used to be called FICCI Arise. FICCI is the largest industry body in the country, and FICCI has several industry verticals. They have about 70 odd industry verticals. Out of that, school education is one, and we were Arise. So we have been doing a lot of work on policy, advocacy, a lot of research papers, dialogues with Arise is Association for Reinventing School Education. We started about 7 years ago, and we started with the motto of student first. We work very closely with the Government of India, Ministry of Education, CBSE, ICSE, NCRT, NCF, and various state governments. We are represented in about 20 states across the country. And we work with on policy, that how a school education act should look like. We've presented to many states. Some of them have adopted what we have given. We bring out a lot of research papers on child safety, on very, very diverse things. So for we did the model code, as I told you, the Model Education Act, the child safety. During COVID, we released papers on how we need to, the COVID screen time is another paper we released on, whether it's good, bad, how it's relevant, and the relevance on that schools should be open as opposed to schools being closed. So that is also something which we released, and we were not very successful in convincing the governments to open up schools as much. We were the second most number of days in the world closed. I think after Angola or another country, we closed schools for the longest time. Like that, we released several papers. So we are, as we speak, we have just started work on doing an AI paper as well. What is relevant for how do you actually leverage AI itself as a whole across the country? So that is one side of the things, right? In terms of policy, so I think there is a very important aspect of setting guardrails for these LLMs or these ChatGPT or things like that. So we cannot continue to ask children to be going and actually using ChatGPT or something. We have to get something which is relevant for India. So the let's say as a ChatGPT example, because that's the most popular one. So it's a context written by people in the West, right? So their thinking process, possibly their ethical process, the ethical way of doing things, culturally they're quite different. All that has to be very relevant to what we're doing. We cannot expect that somebody else is doing it and we just mimic it. And also there's a large amounts of biases which we keep reading about, how the LLMs are actually throwing out biases which are not. We don't want religious, ethical, cultural bias. Then they will be exposed to what is relevant and what is unbiased in a safe environment. Exactly. It's like the YouTube kids, let's say, that you don't want children to be exposed to everything.
Yeah, I think policy making will be very important as we continue to see the adoption of AI across various sectors, and AI in education in particular, because of the impact that it can have on our children. All right. So, Praveen, we discussed a lot of topics, right? We covered multiple things today, and now I have a very different question for you. So, you have been the founding chairman for Indus Early Years School in Hyderabad. You have been executive director for Indus International School in Hyderabad again, and both of them top-rated schools. You are the founder for Suchitra Academy, again, top 10 rated in India. So you must have been in and out of multiple classrooms across multiple grades. So let me ask you, if given a choice, if you have to teach at, let's say, either grade 1 or grade 10, which one would you prefer to invite?
I would definitely prefer grade 1 or lower, because That's the area where we can give maximum impact, and that maximum change can happen at that age, because there are several studies that show that by the time a child is 5 or 6, 80 or 90% of the brain development happens already. The neuron connections are made, and then you're just building on that. So that's a very tender time where children are very malleable. They're like a sponge. A lot of things they can absorb very quickly. So I think the ability to make substantial change in that space is far higher.
So I think at the pre-primary level, there's more to learn than to teach as well, because I have tremendous regard for teachers at the pre-primary level, and how at home we are not able to control 2 small children, and they're like 20 odd children over there. They need to get them to their way of doing things. So that's something which always fascinates me. I never experienced that. I want to learn on how do you do that, and just the ability to change at that age itself is, in fact, is the highest. And I'm sure I would actually, just to add to what I said earlier, for a message for the parents, I think that is the time that parents should be spending their maximum efforts, and work very closely with whichever school they're going to, and see how they're addressing learning, not challenges, but how they're addressing the learning in the classroom as well, and be very satisfied and very happy with the way things are going in the classrooms, because that's going to shape the future for the children.
No, true. Very valid point. I mean, personally, I'm scared of teens. So people will have to really pay me a lot to set foot in a class 10. So, in a school. I find grade 1 pre-primary kids, they adore the teacher. So they listen to the teacher. So it's a much better experience. But that again is a very personal, preference. But to your point, I think it's very, it's ironical that as parents, we spend so much time once the child grows up in their education or the decision which school that they are going to. But it's the first 5 years that's the most impactful. That is when the brain development takes place. And that is when, we as parents should really focus on which school they are going, how they are absorbing information, how they're interacting. So thanks a lot for, bringing that point up, Praveen. Yeah. So I think, we discussed multiple things. It was a really fun conversation for me. I hope you enjoyed it too, Praveen. And again, thanks a lot for being on this episode of Learning Curve. I had a great time talking to you. Thank you so much, Praveen. Bye.
Yeah, perfect. Like the